we're ready to get started. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to the Ann Arbor DDA's April 2021 board meeting. My name is Jessica Lita and I'm the DDA board chair. I'll go over details now for today's meeting. It's important to note the amendment to Michigan's Act 276 of 1976, the Open Meetings Act, allowing public bodies to meet entirely remotely, expired at the end of March, but permitted that if a local state of emergency is declared, then public bodies can continue to meet remotely through December 31st, 2021. The Washtenaw County Board of Commissioners unanimously passed a resolution declaring a local state of emergency within Washtenaw County as of March 17th, 2021, to continue through December 31st, 2021, due to the sustained presence of COVID-19. The DDA will continue to hold all committee and board meetings virtually at this time. DDA board members will participate by video and audio. Staff members and other attendees will participate by audio only. Other participants may include DDA staff Maura Thompson, Sarah McCowan, Jada Hallbrook, Amber Miller, Kelly Graves, and Liz Ralla. Thank you to members of the public who are joining us today. Your microphone will be muted during the meeting. There are four 4-minute speaking slots at the beginning of the meeting for public comment, and time has also been set aside at the end of the meeting for public comment. The chat function is enabled for use by the DDA board members during the meeting to indicate you wish to speak. We ask the DDA members and staff members, please identify yourself before speaking. That helps with note taking and for people who are following along via audio only. When not speaking, please mute your microphone. When it appears there's no disagreement, voting will be conducted by voice consensus. If it appears there is board member disagreement, a roll call vote will be taken. Part of the amended Open Meetings Act requirements for participating in an electronic meeting states that each member of the board or committee must make a public announcement at the outset of the meeting, stating the member is attending the meeting remotely, and the member's physical location at the time of the meeting by stating the county, city, township, or village and state where they are located. The city has directed that this announcement be made during roll call. Maura, if you could please conduct that roll call.
Certainly. Micah Bartelme. Tom Crawford.
Here in the city of Ann Arbor.
Alex Deek. Bob Gunzel.
Here in the city of Ann Arbor.
Jihei Kim. Tyler Kinley.
Here, city of Ann Arbor.
Marie Clough.
Here, city of Ann Arbor.
Darren McKinnon.
Present. I-94 eastbound, mile marker 112.
Thanks for that. Jessica Lita.
Here, city of Ann Arbor.
Jonathan Massey. Rishi Narayan. Molly McFarland.
Here, city of Ann Arbor.
And doing my count, we have a quorum.
Thanks, Maura. Can I have a motion and a second to approve today's board meeting agenda?
This is Marie. Second.
Kelly, did you get the motion?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, please say nay. The agenda for today's DDA meeting is approved. We did have people sign up ahead of time to speak. Richard Mitchell, I believe, is first. Richard, you can unmute yourself. You have 4 minutes. Please state your first and last name. Richard, are you with us?
Richard's on mute, it looks like.
While we're waiting for Richard to connect his sound, Kelly, did we have anybody else sign up to speak?
Yes, we did have one other person. Odell Haber had asked to speak. I see in the chat.
Okay. Odile, if you'd like to say your first and last name, you've got 4 minutes.
Yes, my name is Odile Huguenot Heber, and I'm speaking for the A2 Initiating Committee of the Commons, Ann Arbor Commons, and I am asking you a request to be able to do some gardening in the Commons next to the downtown library. So because the earth is now soft and rich, and we would be able to start putting in some flower and plants. I know that Rita Mitchell has been working with Tom Crawford on drafting some MOU. So I know this is in the process, and Tom can speak about that. And I think some lawyers are drafting some MOU. So the city would not be responsible if anything happened to people that are gardening. Anyways, this is my request, and we would like to have the place nice before April 22, as we are doing an event for Earth Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Odile. Richard, are you with us?
I am. Sorry for that.
Quite all right. We've all done it. If you could
Okay.
please state your first and last name, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Dick Mitchell. I live at 1113 West Liberty on the Old West Side. I'm an architect in town. I know some of you, not all of you. And we've had offices here for about 35 years on Ann Street, Washington Street, and now 4th Ave for the last 25 years. I'm here today to talk about the First and Ashley project that is currently underway. I'm one of the owners of the Schwaben building in the 200 South block of Ashley. And I also realize I should be talking to Capital Improvements about this, but they don't meet for 2 weeks and time is critical, so I came here instead. I've been in touch with both Maura and Amber, and they know why I'm here. First of all, I want to thank you for the work that's been done on First Street. I walk up and down Liberty every day on my way to work and have enjoyed watching that project take shape. It's a huge improvement. So thanks for that. Maura and Amber and Liz and the contractors have done a great job. That set the table for me for what may come along Ashley Street. Shortly before Thanksgiving in 2020, Amber shared a drawing with me of Ashley that included 3-foot sidewalk extensions, trees, and lighting along both sides of the 200 South block. I was buying a table from one of our tenants, 3 chairs, earlier this week, and the owner of the business, Susan Monroe, asked if I knew when the project would be done. I didn't, but I told her that I get regular emails from Maura and I'd reach out to her. I emailed Maura and asked her what the schedule was and what the scope of the project was. She wrote back and said that all of the sidewalk improvements that were planned for that particular block had been eliminated from the project, and our block was to be essentially a curb-to-curb project only. Maura went on to explain that the issue of the faults at several of the buildings on our block had caused all the sidewalk amenities to be scrapped. And I'm not here to revisit that with you. I respect the decisions the DDA has to make. And I also expect that Amber and Maura and Capital Improvements would love just as much as any of us to see all of the improvements made similar to the improvements that have been made on First and north of us and south of us. The contractor just poured a large sidewalk extension into Ashley at the Grizzly Peak location north of our block, and is in the process of forming a similar extension for the Beer Depot south of our block. Unfortunately, when the project is complete, because our block is getting essentially nothing in terms of sidewalk improvements, we're afraid it's going to look like a big smile with a missing tooth right in the middle. So I am here to ask if we can revisit the most important of the items deleted from the project, and that's pedestrian lighting. We would like to work with you in doing something to enhance the safety on our block after dark. It's a vital pedestrian connector between all of the parking at the Brown Block and your structure to the north and the restaurants and bars along South Liberty. There appears to be a narrow zone between what might be the outer edge of those underground vaults and the curbs. This zone currently houses all of the existing street amenities, including parking meters, pay stations, wayfinding, bike hoops, trees, etc. One of my partners in Schwaben suggested a series of poles supporting a single string of Tivoli lights that would run parallel to the curb, using the same products that you use down on First and Liberty by the Black Slate ice cream to give them more seating. We're hopeful that something can be done, and we just want to let you know we're ready to work with you and cooperate in any way we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. I appreciate your comments and that you were able to get connected. Kelly, is there anybody else who's asking to speak at public comment?
No, I have not received any other requests.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, we have reports from city boards and commissions. Steve Kaplan is here to give an update on last night's CAC meeting.
Hi there, Steve Kaplan. I'm currently in Dexter, but can everyone hear me? Just to be
Yes.
sure. Okay. We spent the majority of last night's meeting getting a wonderful presentation, kind of an update on the People Friendly Streets Initiative and what's been going on. We were very excited to hear about some of the things that are developing, coming down in the near future as well. Some of the discussions that we focused on had to do with on State Street, what happens with traffic when curbs are eliminated as part of the being able to make the sidewalks more versatile and being able to use the paved areas for more different uses at different times. But all in all, mostly just hearing rather than speaking. And then the remainder of our meeting was really centered on kind of a continuation of last month's discussions, which were sort of how does the Citizens Advisory Commission hone its function to best serve the DDA? Where is our observations and our comments the most useful? And not that we came to decisive conclusions on that front, but more to come when we do. And that was it.
Thanks, Steve. Next up is DDA board member communications. If there are any board members who wish to talk, please state your name before you speak. Okay. At this point, I'll turn it over to Maura for the executive director report.
Thank you, Jess. And I do not have a report today.
We're a rambunctious crew today. At this point, I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to approve the March minutes.
Finley, so moved.
Marie, second.
Thanks, Tyler and Marie. Are there any corrections to the March minutes? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. Okay, hearing none, the March minutes are approved. Thanks, y'all. Next on the agenda are the DDA subcommittee reports, beginning with the Finance Committee report. I'll turn it over to committee co-chairs Bob Gunzel and Marie Klopp.
Marie, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Can hear you.
Great. Thank you, Jess. The fiscal year 22 and 23 budgets. Maura and Sarah presented those budgets to the City Council on March 22nd. The City Council will now, the next step, consider adopting the city budget, which includes the DDA's budget in May. The committee will bring the resolution to adopt the budget to the June board. And Sarah is available if anybody has any questions. And hearing none, The next Finance Committee meeting will be Wednesday, April 29th at 9 a.m.
Oh, sorry, I should have had that as Thursday, Marie. My apologies.
Oh, Thursday. So it's the 30th, correct? Thursday, April 30th at 9 a.m. Is that right?
So the 29th, I just had the wrong, I had Wednesday instead of Thursday.
Oh, okay. Thursday, the 29th.
Great, thanks, Marie. Next up is the Affordable Housing and Economic Development Committee report. I'll turn it over to Tyler Kinley and absent committee co-chair Micah Bartelme.
Yes, we miss Micah, but I will do my best here without him. I'll do a quick overview of the partner updates we received. The library is following MI Start Map that tracks the risk of spread of COVID statewide to inform its decision to reopen for browsing and computer use in early summer. So we're all excited to get back to the library. The return to full in-person services is tentatively planned for fall, but again, all of that rests on how things go. The Planning Commission, they provided us updates that they are discussing revisions to the ADU and transit-oriented development, or T1 standards, to encourage more housing supply. This meeting happened, quite some time ago, so they actually met last night as the Planning Commission, and I understand that the decision about the T1 standards was postponed to a special session April 13th. For the AAA, they plan to restore all transit services in August, with the exception of a few underperforming routes. The public engagement presentations on the AAATA's long-range plans will be forthcoming, so look for future information on that. Currently, City Hall remains closed following county and state health guidelines, which I believe is still in effect. Councilmember Rumlawi, he actually expressed appreciation for the DDA providing barricade funding for the area merchants association's weekend street closures that were approved by council and are in full effect now. City staff is working on plans and costs for the Healthy Streets projects for this year. Regarding the sidewalk snow removal, that resolution was moved to the Transportation Commission for further review. So we'll see where that goes. Councilmember Song said the Human Rights Commission article on anti-Asian violence will be released soon. I'm not sure if that's been released since, but we can look into that. And reminded all that the City Human Resource Commission and AAPD are available resources for those in need. The other real exciting news at that time, since then we're still excited about it, is that the Ann Arbor Housing Commission closed on Lurie Terrace. Councilmember Rumlawi thanked the DDA for its nearly $1 million in financial support. And that about wraps up the partner updates we have for the meeting. Our next AHEAD meeting is 1 week from today at 9 a.m. That's a DDA only meeting, but of course we welcome public viewing and comment. So we look forward to that, and thanks.
Thanks, Tyler. Next up is the Capital Improvements Committee report. I'll turn it over to Alex, who isn't here, and Molly McFarland, who is.
Thanks, Jess. So for the report today, we have a couple of construction updates. The first one is First and Ashley construction. So First Street construction near Kingsley Bend includes installation of concrete bike path, curbs, and sidewalk. The contractor is also installing the signal foundations at the Huron First intersection. Ashley Street work continues at the Huron, Washington, and Liberty corners with the installation of signal foundations, storm sewer, concrete curb, light pole bases, and the concrete sidewalks. I know Amber is out, but Liz is here to answer any questions. And Maura, did you want to address anything that was sort of brought up today in regards to the Ashley Street project?
Yeah, sure. And, I appreciate Mr. Mitchell being here with us today. The staff and the design team share in the disappointment in not being able to do the full scope of work on that block. And the lighting is actually something that the team has been exploring. So we are looking at different, more creative options to try to bring light to that block. And right now the team is getting together concepts and costs, and staff, DDA staff, are also working with city staff to try to explore the feasibility of different options. So just know that it's something we're working on and will continue to do so.
Great, thank you, Maura. Moving on to the People Friendly Streets Phase 2 project. So the committee held a special meeting to receive an update on the projects and the public engagement workshops, providing value-based feedback and asking questions. The public engagement workshops were held March 9th through 11th and focused on the Division Street improvements and bikeway, the Miller-Catherine Streets improvements and bikeway, and the 4th Avenue and its role in the transit support. And the State Street Streetscape and water main project. The team reported high quality, insightful conversations and support for the projects from the workshop participants. The presentations and recordings are all available on the People Friendly Streets page. A full report is going to be shared at this April's CIC meeting. Any questions from the board on that? I guess Amber's not here, but I'll make Maura try to answer it. Nope. Okay. So then the next Capital Improvements Committee meeting is going to be Wednesday, April 21st, and that's going to be at 11 a.m. Thank you.
Thanks, Molly. Next up is the Operations Committee report. I'll turn it over to Committee Chair Darren McKinnon, who's roaming somewhere in Michigan. Darren, are you still with us?
I am sorry, I was finding my mute button.
All good.
So I have a very short report. We did not meet last month because we had very little on the agenda. And our next meeting is Wednesday, the 28th of April at 11 a.m.
Thanks, Darren. Next up, we have the Executive Committee report. Today, the GovHR, the Executive Director search firm, attended this morning's Executive Committee meeting. We reviewed the advertisement, brochure, job description, and timeline of the next few months for the Executive Director position. The advertisement will be placed next week, so look out for some more info on that. We have some information and questions for the board here. I'll note that we're missing a few folks, and we don't have to make any firm decisions today. We've got the May meeting to discuss this as well. So where things stand with the search is GovHR is about to place the job ad. For 5 weeks, we'll accept applications from candidates. At that point, they'll close and conduct kind of internal due diligence on those candidates, background check, social media check. I think they said one other thing. And at that point, they're going to submit a recruitment report to the Executive Committee. The Executive Committee will review the candidates and make sure that everybody that they're bringing forward is consistent with our values, the position, our understanding of who we're hoping to place. But at that point, there's a question about how we bring this to the board. We're probably going to have in the neighborhood of 5 to 8 candidates to interview. We have the option of doing a one-step interview or two-phase first and second interview rounds, I should say. And our question from the Executive Committee to you all is, how would you like to see this happen? GovHR said to expect approximately 1 hour per candidate, even if the interview itself is shorter than that, planning for a transition time, discussion time, things like that, each candidate would take an hour. So we could have the full board at every interview. I know that some folks are interested in that. I know that some folks are not. We could have it to where the Executive Committee does a first round, trims it down, and brings a smaller selection of candidates forward to the second round to the board for a full review. So this is really an open question about how you all would like to see this proceed.
Yeah, speaking for myself, Jessica, I think it would be, I wouldn't want to slow it down. Obviously, we're trying to move efficiently. Of course, want some input. I know in the private companies that I've worked for, usually you have a smaller group that has the availability to do all the deep dives, and then as the list gets narrowed and time permits, then the bigger group has some chance to sort of weigh in. But I would recommend something like that, just knowing, you know, some of our schedules are crazy, and I don't see how we would be able to coordinate more.
Mhm. Thanks, Molly. Other board members? Telling you, we're a rambunctious group. Again, on the timeline, the candidates are going to be, the first round of candidates are going to be brought to the June executive committee meeting, which means we've got May to have this conversation. And I think given that we're missing some folks, that we'll bring it back to the board again in May for discussion, and failing any additional comment, we at the executive committee can talk about what a two-step process looks like, with us taking the brunt of the first round and then bringing the final second round to the full board. The way that our, which would be in June, between the June board meeting and the July board meeting. Our bylaws are fairly open-ended on this, but state that the full board should be involved in the final interview and selection of the candidate. So there's no question that that contingency will come to the board at some point. It's just about how we get to that point. Okay. Good. No decisions, open-ended, just as it should be. Hang on one second. I have so many great sheets that I've lost track. Okay.
Hey Molly, could I this is Tom Crawford. Did the executive committee have a recommendation or a preference?
I wouldn't say we have a preference, but I'll ask the committee if they do. We really kind of wanted to get a sense for what the board was interested in before we weighed in with a recommendation. The conversation felt more agnostic.
Yeah, just to add to that, we also, you know, right now we're sort of just guessing. We don't know the slate of candidates. We haven't, that we're at such an early stage that a little bit more of that will come from us learning a bit more as we move forward.
I will say that GovHR, they said, we can't give you numbers, but we'll give you numbers because we know everybody likes it. So what they anticipate is the recruitment report that they'll bring to the executive committee is 8 to 10 candidates that will likely get winnowed down to 5 to 6 at a first round of interviews. And that we could either choose to advance all of them or trim it down, which they recommend doing to around 3 or 4. So that's approximately the time commitment that we're looking at for each of the 2 rounds.
So this is Tom again, if I could add on, then I would, I'm with Molly in the sense that I think that there's real benefit for the executive committee for us to have a 2-stage process. Strikes me as some real benefits practically.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further discussion on the executive director search? Okay, the committee also discussed revisions to the conflict of interest section of the bylaws. A resolution to adopt that language will be brought to the May board. We also reviewed the board agenda, and our next executive committee meeting is scheduled for May 5th, 2021 at 11 a.m. Is there any DDA new business to discuss? Maura?
Thank you, Jess. I guess I could have used this information for my executive director report, so thank you for indulging me. I just wanted to give an update. The city and the DDA have been working together to facilitate the gardening group's request to begin planting on the library lot. So that is something that we have been working on. A volunteer waiver is being developed, and it's very similar to what the city parks department uses for volunteers that work in the parks. So we are really close to completion on that waiver. So I'm hoping that, this week we'll have that together. And then the plan is that for the safety of those volunteers, we would shut down the lot to parking during the time of planting. And I know that group is anticipating planting, I believe, each weekend in April up until Earth Day. So that is potentially what you're going to be seeing, that the lot would be closed on the weekends in April for their safety. And that's it, unless anyone has questions.
Any other new business? And I see a chat from Odile Haber that says thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the DDA board? Kelly, can you help me see?
I do just see one or two people. I don't see any hands raised, but there are a couple people on.
Okay, I'll go ahead and read the language just in case anybody does want to speak and hasn't been able to get their finger on the button. If you are attending by computer or phone with the Zoom app, please use the raise your hand function and I'll call on you. At that time, please unmute your microphone, state your first and last name, and share your comments. If attending by phone or audio only, please unmute your microphone and request a comment, and I'll call on you. We ask that you state your first and last name and share your comments. You'll have up to 4 minutes to speak. Nobody? Okay, but thanks to members of the public for being here anyway. The next board meeting will be on Wednesday, May 5th, 2021 at noon. Can I please ask for a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
This is Tom. I'll move.
Thanks, Tom.
Support.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. All right, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks all.